Smrti Valley is an intermountain depression in the Mojave Desert and Great Basin region of the western United States in the state of California, southeast of the Sierra Nevada mountain range. The valley contains the lowest point in North America, 86 meters below sea level. It also includes most of Death Valley National Park. Death Valley National Park is the most arid national park in the United States. The park covers 13,518 square kilometers and includes the Salina Valley, most of the Panamint Valley, nearly all of Death Valley, and areas of several mountain systems. The park has the driest and hottest climate of any national park in the United States and has the second deepest land point in the country at a place known as Badwater. Before the park was designated a conservation area, it was primarily used for gold mining. The first known non-Indigenous Americans came to the area in the winter of 1849, believing they would save time by shortening their journey to the gold fields of California. After traveling for several weeks and losing one man to death, they eventually decided to call the place Death Valley. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, several fast-growing settlements sprang up in the valley, whose inhabitants engaged in gold mining. But these settlements proved to be short-lived. The only long-term profitable ore was borax, a mineral used for soap production and industry. Wagons pulled by 18 mules and a pair of horses were used to transport this ore, an unusual transportation practice that later became the basis for numerous books, radio and television programs, and motion pictures. Death Valley was declared a national monument in 1933, after which it was placed under state protection. In 1994, the status of national monument was changed to national park, and in the same year the park's territory was expanded to include the Salina and Jurek valleys. The park's environment is the result of geologic transformations in the area, which have a long and complex history. The oldest rocks were formed by metamorphic changes, at least 1,700 million years ago. In ancient times, the warm and shallow inland seas in the area left extensive marine sediments. This continued until a crevasse opened the way to the Pacific Ocean. Deposition continued onward until the subduction zone formed the coastal zone. Mountains and a series of volcanoes formed to the west, closing the way to the ocean. Later, the Earth's crust began to break apart, creating the arid topography we see today. Valleys were filled with sedimentary rocks, and during the wet times of ice ages, lakes such as Lake Manly. The park includes two major valleys, Death and Panamint, each formed several million years ago, and both bounded by north-south trending mountain ranges. These and other neighboring valleys follow the general trend of the topographic structure of the basin and range province. With one exception, in the central part of Death Valley there is a series of parallel geological faults, as a result of which the central part of the valley is somewhat widened. The highest point of the park is the Panamint Range, with Telescope Peak at 3,368 meters above sea level. Death Valley is a transition zone between the northern Mojave Desert and 5 mountain ranges along the Pacific Ocean, 3 of which, Sierra Nevada, Argus, and Panamint, are significant barriers. The air currents, as they descend rapidly from the mountains, through an adiabatic process, become very hot and lose moisture, resulting in dry and hot air, a process climatologists call rain shadowing. As a result of this process, Death Valley is considered the driest area of North America, with the Badwater area receiving an average annual rainfall of only 43 millimeters annual average. Rainfall ranges from 48 millimeters in places below sea level to 380 millimeters in the mountains surrounding the valley. When rain finally arrives, it often causes heavy flash floods that alter the structure of the landscape and sometimes create very shallow temporary lakes, at 86 m level below sea level is the second lowest point on the Earth's surface in the Western Hemisphere, and just 140 kilometers away. Mt. Whitney rises to an elevation of 4,421 meters above sea level. This place is the last point in the drainage system of the Great Basin. In wetter times, water from all over the region collected in this place, forming the large ancient salt lake Menlay, which later dried up to form a salt lake. The salt lakes in the valley are considered some of the largest lakes in the world. rich in minerals such as borax, various salts, and hydrates. The largest salt lake in the park stretches for 65 kilometers, with a total area of 500 square kilometers covering the valley floor. The second widely known such salt lake is Racetrack, also famous for its mysterious moving stones. On July 10, 1913, a record high temperature of plus 57 degrees Celsius was recorded in Death Valley near Badwater, and to this day it remains the highest temperature recorded in North America daily. Summer daytime temperatures in excess of 50 degrees Celsius are common in the park area, and winter night temperatures sometimes fall below freezing. Several streams in Death Valley are fed by groundwater from aquifers that extend eastward to southern Utah and Nevada. The California Gold Rush attracted the first European settlers to the area. In December 1849, two groups of prospectors, with 100 wagon-drawn wagons, wandered into the valley land, trying to find the shortest route to California. This lifeless, sun-scorched, dry desert attracts scientists, geologists, and enthusiasts who try to unravel natural mysteries. The phenomenon of moving rocks. One of the most famous mysteries of Death Valley is the moving rocks of the dried-up Lake Racetrack Playa. Different kinds of scientists and researchers, for a long time, could not give an exact answer to the question of how the stones move along the bottom of the lake. Some believed that the rocks move due to supernatural forces, while others attributed the movement of the rocks to magnetic fields, as well as the movement of air masses. Most of the stones fall to the bottom of the dried lake from a nearby 260-meter hill. The tracks stretching behind the stones are several dozen meters long and 8 to 30 centimeters wide. The stones only move once in 2 or 3 years, and the footprints usually remain for another 3 to 4 years. It is also interesting that not all the stones in the valley are mobile, and those that do move also make steep turns of up to 90 degrees. A couple of years ago, American scientists from the Scripps Institution of Oceanography managed to shed light on the mystery and find out the reason for the movement of rocks. Special sensors and cameras were installed on them, which helped scientists to understand this issue. Thanks to the data obtained from the sensors installed on the stones, the scientists noticed that the bottom of the lake, at certain moments, is covered with a layer of water a few centimeters high. This becomes the root cause of the mysterious phenomenon. The stones begin to move after them. Protruding water at the bottom of the lake freezes and is covered with a thin layer of ice. Floating and melting ice and moves the stones at a speed of up to 5 meters per minute. Interestingly, scientists, for the convenience of tracking the stones, gave them female names. For example, a 320-kilogram boulder was named Karen. In one winter, Karen moved 820 meters. Other names were Bessie, BEP, Alanis, Layla, and Goldie. Some of the stones have been attempted to be stolen, although they lose their magical properties outside the valley. Catching stones in motion is also very difficult. Their speed is about 4.5 meters per minute, and they move only under ideal weather conditions. The night must be cold enough to freeze the ice, and the day must be warm and sunny. But if scientists have managed to find out the reason for the movement of stones, many questions remain unanswered. Why do some rocks stay in place while others are constantly moving? Why do some stones return to their original place? While the best minds of mankind are trying to solve this mystery, the administration of the National Park Death Valley does not need the solution at all, and all because the flow of tourists to this mysterious place only increases. Mysteries always attract people more than explainable phenomena.